on the Michelangelo, that epic crossover skin for Val. And we're hopping over to Small World's End. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, and we're getting back to the Gauntlet Mirror here, and we saw Keith wasn't able to really find as much success in the Gauntlet Mirror versus Tax Evasion, but I think Keith is kind of like the upper echelon of play in Southeast Asia, so somebody that I definitely expect to win this one. But Sphynx is on a run of a lifetime right now, playing really well versus some really great competitors here in region. So well, we can definitely see Sphynx winning the Gauntlet War right now. GC side stick trying to get a read going early, and an immediate ground pound sends Keith in a really bad spot, able to touch the wall though, thankfully.
Let's see, Gauntlet Ditto, the recovery is not going to KO there. Spinx catching the landing, and we see the spot dodge, which means for Spinx, he sees that flash and he says, all right, I'm pressing recovery immediately after this side light because it is going to be a guaranteed conversion, and that's what secures him the first stock. Keith now going to have to get a little bit of damage and then start fishing for a D-Light Tear or recovery or that side sig, but it's not going to work on Spinx this time around.
Yeah, I like that from Sphynx, with an opportunity to kind of overextend there and try to make something happen, instead saying, you know what, I can kind of rely on myself to win through the positioning game and not really going super crazy. Goes for the dash jump down air. Keith going for it. Oh, and gets reversaled. Weapon toss into unarmed ground pound. Down air closes out. Sphynx steals the stock away. I saw immediately after the weapon toss. I know Sphynx smells blood in the water and finds the KO there. Oh my goodness, what a flip.
Yeah, just like that, game one seeming a bit further out of the realm of possibility, especially when Spinx is getting conversions like this. Keith finally getting a recovery to get rid of the first stock, but needs to play so immaculately, needs to play the way Spinx did against Sire in that last game to go ahead and bring things back. Otherwise, it's going to be 1-0 in Spinx's favor here and beginning out of the elimination finals. And so far, things are still looking pretty bad for Keith.
Yeah, I mean, trying to get things started on the sword here, but just really can't find much. Gets the end light into recovery. Sphynx now sending Keith off stage. Unarmed down light to get an edge guard going. Didn't find it, but Keith fighting back right now.
Yeah, he's trying to do something, giving a piece of the Spinx, nice. But Spinx doesn't care. Gets a sidelight recovery yet again, securing yet another stock and also a game, going up 1-0 in this elimination finals. And I don't know. We'll see how Keith does in game two. That match was a little bit more polarizing, I think, just in the sense that, like, we saw Spinx get a pretty good early stock on that second one, right? And so, like, generally as the flow of games go, if they're going back and forth or whatever, sometimes you have a moment like that that's like an explosive outlier that doesn't necessarily represent how the flow of the match would go otherwise. And so I'll feel like I'll have a better understanding of what their dynamic will look like as we go into game two.
No, I definitely agree. Like, when those like crazy circumstances happen where you're able to flip an edge guard at literally zero, it's definitely hard to tell, like, really if that's going to be the motif of the match. But I don't expect that. I definitely think Keith, you know, a player that once Keith is able to settle into his own mental game, he's able to really make these comebacks happen and really play the game you want to see. And Keith already picking over into the, leaving it into Miami Dome. So more of what we saw in winners finals.
Okay, let's see. Keith starting off with this lightsaber here, racking up a fair amount of damage. I mean, slight lead damage-wise on a Spinx here, and might be able to get the stock. Goes for an end sig here. I actually think Spinx was looking for the side sig just because Keith has represented it so many times. But either way, the dodge that Spinx did actually covered both of those options. And so Keith's gonna have to think a little bit harder next time. But this D-Light Sayer almost enough. Can't get the edge guard. Tries to get the grab, but can't turn around down light, but just narrowly misses it.
On center stage now, Sphynx getting the gauntlet sidelight here. A lot slower of a pace of the game than the previous game. I think just the nature of Miami Dome for sure with these soft platforms. But Keith now scouring into the corner, looking for that downlight there. A jump side air gets punished by Sphynx with a sidelight into the Nair sidelight, so some nice damage there, but no crazy read so far. But that side air sends Keith in a really bad spot. Keith able to fight back with an unarmed recovery into the gauntlet side air to close out that stock, though.
All right, let's see. We're locking in. Keith, what is your answer here? How much damage can you get before you lose this stock? And the answer is a pretty decent amount so far and counting, man, just to get quite a few juggles with those neutral airs. Great maneuverability around the NSIG, but Spinx just says, you know what? I'm going to try again.
Yeah, it looks like you know, Sphinx able to close out that stock there, and only about 100 damage on Sphinx right now. But it's like Keith is just really slowing down the pace of this match, and Sphinx is really trying to make anything happen. You see they're going really deep for these edge guards now. Like, okay, I don't really want to return to neutral. I want to continue this advantage state. Going deep for that down air. Didn't find it there. Side stick comes out from Keith, tries to flip it. Sphinx getting a reversal. Side air doesn't fully connect, but still sends Keith downwards because of the wall. But okay, somehow they both make it back to stage with very few bruises on them for it. But that's a scary edge guard.
All right. Extremely close game here. Spinx gets the anti-air. No response out of Keith out of hit stun. Just falls back down to the ground.
Oh. Goes for the down air into the downlight. The classic mix-up there on the send back in, but Keith able to dodge through and get an end light to send Sphinx off stage. Sphinx now having Keith off stage after he's able to make it back to center. But yeah, you see this, they're opting for a lot of movement as opposed to swinging, because they realize like when it's neutral, it's a lot slower. Keith can kind of play around these soft platforms really well. So can Sphinx now. So none of them really wanting to whiff anything because the whiff punish is inevitable. The side air sends Sphinx off stage. The weapon toss sends him lower to the wall, but it's going to be hard to close out this stock. You need a read here. Didn't go for it. Sphinx flips it with a side air now. His opportunity to get a read off stage. Can he find it? No, he can't. Keith gets the recovery there.
Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah.
T-Light side air, just tried and true. One of the classics, man. And now you're sitting in a spot where it's like, all right, Sphinx, you know, up 1-0 in the set, trailing behind by a little bit, but arguably not that much. I mean, Keith, last time he was in this situation, was able to rack up a fair amount of damage on the sword before dropping the stock. Oh, that should have been the recovery from Spinx. Needed to fast fall there and get under Keith and launch that to go ahead and get the stock, but just didn't get the execution there. And now, an opportunity for Keith to tack on even more extra bits of damage.
Ooh, nice nice read there from Sphinx, realizing that the safety for Keith is definitely on that soft platform, and realizing, okay, you know, spending a lot of jumps low is definitely going to look to refresh them on the soft platform there. Really smart stuff for Sphinx, keeping this game relatively close, and definitely a lot slower of a pace of a match, but Sphinx showing like even in the slower matches, I can definitely still play in your tempo and find a lot of success here. Gets the sidelight into Nair, gets the dodge read there, down air into the recovery. Nice damage from Sphinx. Keith reversals with the down air, but no big string afterwards, and now Sphinx with the damage lead here.
Oh, okay, man. There's trading flurries of blows here. Damage pretty darn even, if I do say so. So we'll see. He comes out on top here. Spinx, oh, gets the chase there once again. Doesn't just, he wants a juicier conversion. He could have just gone for the recovery. Oh, geez, the chase from Keith.
That's a crazy signature, not signature, crazy recovery to go for that chase dodge with not a lot of horizontal movement. Down stick comes out there for the first time for Keith. Now Sphinx in a really bad spot though. And he make it back to the stage, dodges through, gets the reversal with the ground pound. Can he close it out? It doesn't even need a second hit. Sphinx flips it. Keith sending himself off stage for just a moment, and Sphinx jumps up with the ground pound. Keith going for what seems to be the safest option with that end light, but he goes a little bit too far to the edge there, a little too close to the sun, and gets reversal. That's so unfortunate for Keith, but Sphinx will take those. Another reversal with the ground pound on the gauntlets. Insane.
Yeah, Sphinx kind of tapping into the clutch there. With that ground pound, because I was starting when he didn't get that conversion earlier off of the dodge that he got, there was a bit of a moment where we saw Keith really trying to push the advantage. It's where we saw that recovery chase at the top of the screen. I didn't know if maybe Spinx had just let the game go, but was able to tap into that clutch factor a little bit and secure a 2-0 lead here now in the elimination final. So that means if Spinx wins one more, he'll have his shot at Tax Evasion, who is waiting in the grand finals.
Dashing run here, gets the end light from on Sphinx, already starting off the same pace where they're, you know, playing so much footsies that you don't really want to be the first one to swing. But right now Keith using that really superior positioning to get those down airs and those nairs to continuously bother Sphinx for being in the same area. The down air flips the situation. Another down air here. Can you find the KO? Great dodge from Sphinx, but unfortunately not enough momentum to get back to the wall. At a clean edge guard from Keith to close out that stock.
Yeah, that's one of those forced errors, as we like to call it, right? Keith pressuring so heavily there that Spinx recognizes he has to drift away to avoid getting hit by the sword dare, and because of that, doesn't have enough drift to get back onto the stage. And so well played by Keith, starting off with a pretty large lead here now, and we'll see if Spinx is able to flip this one back. Once again, too slow with these recoveries off of the side lights, right? It's like he's trying to react. This time he goes for it immediately, but now we see a dodge to the side, and yet again, another dodge to the side. So is he going to go for side light, gravity cancel side light next time, or we'll find out?
Yeah, it's definitely like the classic like gauntlet player dilemma where you start kind of doubting your own reads. Yeah, that time, exactly. Like you're trying to make a read off of your opponent, off of your own what you're thinking, but that's really never how it works. The side air comes in high, Sphynx able to dodge through it, but a lot of extra credit is getting bled because of just not able to close out those stocks on those side lights. But hey, end light into recovery will close out that stock. Sphynx definitely more than 100 damage, so definitely a bad spot to be in versus Val. Legend with really great KO confirms, but we'll see. Mordex very good at finding those strings, but there the downlight side air closes out that stock, and Keith 2 stocks to 1, very dominant position here.
Yeah, definitely, one of the best legends in the game at, being in a situation like this and still making it happen. Has two of, if not arguably, the best weapons in the game for getting quick offstage conversions, but Keith not really making that seem like a threat right now, as the sword play is just weaving in and out of the dead zones of the scythe right now.
Oh, that's the side sig into Sphynx saying, you know what, Keith, you got it there. Gets the side sig and closes out that game. Keith with some fire in him, something we haven't seen at all in this set so far. The very flawless sword play into immediately taking over the game.
Yeah, no, that was a very well played final stock from Keith in that instance there. I mean, granted, of course, Spinx still only needing 1 game. You're perfectly happy letting this go. But even you could see kind of in that replay there that when he got hit by that Val side sig, he even bothered trying to recover. He just mashed ground pound and said, let's go next, dude. I'm not trying to burn all my energy out on this one. So here we are going into game number 4 now. Keith trying to make the reversal dream true, right? Going for the reverse 3-0, trying to get a shot into that grand finals, and probably a nice little extra chunk of cash as well. But the scenery has changed too. Now we're on the Fortress of Lions.
Yeah, one of my favorite stages in the current map rotation, and a stage that we haven't seen so far, but definitely a less polarizing stage than Miami Dome. Of course, the soft platform is quite high, but it's it's 1 only and it moves around, so it's definitely a different game for sure.
Let's see, Keith really leaning into the sword play now, going for these side sigs more and more, getting that confidence to just go for the read and know that he won't receive too large of a punish for it. Spinx a little bit slow on some of these reactions, I think, here, but it does feel like he is trying to play a little bit more reaction based. With that said, though, I mean, just look, there you go. Sharking hasn't really been able to get much off of these side lights, though, in this game, the last game. It just seems to be that Keith has got him beat on that Yomi layer right now.
Man, that side air is crazy, and yeah, realizing Sphynx spent too much time off stage trying to mix up the recovery. The ground pound is confirmed there, and Keith looking like he's on a mission to reverse 3-0 here.
Oh, giving us some pizza as well.
Slice of pizza for you. Okay, end light there, and Sphynx, yeah, back into that, like, okay, I hit an end light, but I can't really get much more off of it, and then Keith gets the reversal, the damage swings more, it's just tough.
Yeah, he keeps basically effectively playing a game of chicken with Spinx. Spinx, though, goes low, gets a pretty nice recovery there, honestly, to go ahead and bring things back. I was starting to get worried about the kind of the KO efficiency from Spinx. Once again, gets a side light, unable to get a conversion, goes for the immediate nair, expecting no dodge out of hit stun, but Keith does indeed dodge to the side.
Avoids that down air there. Downlight into side air from Keith, sends Sphynx off stage, going for the very deep down air. Sphynx not getting, or Keith not giving an opportunity for Sphynx to reversal. A lot of discipline from Keith, realizing that the previous games lost were because of mistakes like that, not giving anything this game. Side air sends very far, and that will find the KO. Keith 2 stocks to 1 lead, but we've seen Sphynx make these comebacks happen, especially now, I believe, cycling back onto the scythe, so can make something happen here quickly. We'll see if the reads come through, though.
Okay, let's see. Wow, nice
All
down
right.
air there.
All right. All right. All right. No dodge read. Baits out the double jump, but doesn't get any conversion off of it. Keith landing back at an end light to send Sphynx away, getting some space between, but Keith not dodging it, all dodges away finally there.
Yeah, Spinx just can't get the timing right on when Keith is going to dodge, and it's the difference right here is Keith tacking on all this extra damage now, has Spinx in the red, D-Light recovery is an option here, Sarah to send him off stage because the ceiling's a little bit high, wants to go for the edge guard, the recovery's not going to be enough, but one more certainly will be. Spinx has to play perfectly from here on out, and that's not going to be possible as Keith looking like he's going to make the reverse 3-0 dream happen as he ties it up 2-2 on the board.
It's just like a really, really controlled play from Keith is making it impossible for Sphynx to get any of these reversals. Now that Keith realizes, like, okay, I can beat you in the slower neutral game, it's looking really, really tough for Sphynx to get anything going. But it looks to be that there is going to be a counter pick now. So we're going to be seeing Sphynx over onto the Devil Jin, the Zario crossover, of course. Keeping the gauntlets, but losing the scythe in favor of the bow, so hopefully able to create some space on the ground versus the sword. We'll see how this one goes.
All right, so this one gonna be pretty interesting, right? I mean, of course, you can't look at this legend and not think like, well, who's done it before, right? And the answer is very simple. There's just two people in the world that ever plays aerial. One of them is Balloon Boy and the other one is Batonic, right? And so
Yeah.
we're looking at this and it's like, okay, cool, we know this legend is incredibly strong, but I haven't seen it from Spinx before, but I'm sure it's not like it's his first time whipping this legend out, so we'll see how he's able to play it.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a lot of movement game on gauntlets, of course, here. So, you know, more of what we saw previously on the Mordex. But what we'll have now is like a very unique signatures kit that's extremely strong in ones, as well as a bow that's able to create so much space and control on the ground. Another side light into a misread timing there. And Keith just continuing to play the same game of sword, just like, okay, play very patiently, look for my openings when I can. Sphynx, another dodge down, no punish.
Yeah, man, Spinx just not getting, he's getting the opportunities to do some massive damage and just isn't able to capitalize on these opportunities. I was thinking, oh, maybe that's why we have the swap to Zerial, you know, because then you'll have that bow where your conversions are a little bit more easier to execute / guaranteed off of certain things like downlight as well. But of turnaround ground pound's gonna be able to get that, and we're gonna go right back to the gauntlets maybe, or we're gonna keep the bow. We're gonna keep the bow here and then maybe go for some side light and light conversions on a very low damage ranges, and then maybe swap to the gauntlets later. What's the plan here? Let's see.
Yeah, I mean, bow is really good at racking on damage, especially if you can like control the ground game. So like that's what I want to see, like end lights that cover the soft platform, maybe keep trying to get off the soft platform. Things like that are going to be very successful early on here. See the movement here, avoiding.
Yeah, I mean, Keith was just fishing for gauntlet recovery for maybe the past like 45 seconds or so, and Spinx was aware of it. He was trying to pick and time his anti-air as well with those end lights on bow, but just wasn't quite able to keep the consistency that he needed. Only was able to find one, but also didn't want to grab that weapon that had spawned because now he has this gauntlets for this next stock here, and we'll see if these are able to kind of give him what he is looking for. I mean, he was able to get that first stock with him, so why can't he get two?
Okay, big side air there. Okay, Nair, that gets a nice little juggle going here for Keith, who is winning whenever the soft platform starts moving and Sphynx gets crossed up. It's been pretty successful for him to get some nice damage there. Side air sends Keith off stage. Oh, goes for the ground pound once again on Keith, but Keith able to get the Nair out in time.
And you can feel the shift, right? It's palpable how much slower the game has devolved to, right? This is game 5. Both of these players want to go into that grand finals, and so they're taking their time. They don't want to rush it. They won't have another opportunity. Keith throwing out these N6 recoveries now, has a juggle scenario set up here. Spinx really struggling to find these openings, and that's kind of been the tale of it since the start of what may be a reverse 3-0 here. Just, you know, we'll be able to get one hit on Keith, and then just kind of like it kind of fizzles out.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great way of putting it. Like, fizzle out is definitely like the thing that is the problem for Sphynx. He's able to get like momentum going, and then it just kind of dies down. It's not dramatic in its form. It's just like, okay, I stopped getting hits, And you definitely don't want to see that for sure if you're Sphinx on a weapon like Gauntlets, which is so reliant on getting that momentum going. Keith sending off stage here, going for the ground pound Sphinx, just allowing Keith to fall and not make it back to the stage. A very unfortunate miscue from Keith gives Sphinx another fortunate stock and a stock lead once again.
Charity in game 5 is the last thing that Spinx was expecting, but definitely happy to take it here. We're going to see Keith fish probably for a gauntlet recovery for the next minute or so. He's going to be probably hovering in the 45-degree space of Spinx for a while here, just seeing if he can get maybe a gauntlet recovery. And you can see Spinx trying to be careful. He's going to mix in maybe a sidelight here and there if it's on a punish. And now he said, you know what, screw it. I hate this plan. I'm going to swap over to the sword, and maybe I can get a D-light or a stray Sair or a stray recovery. Even N-light in the corner has the potential to KO here. Look at the patience.
Yeah, it's just like a lot of movement and not a lot of moves, because they realize, like, okay, as Sphinx, you're like, I have a stock lead, so I shouldn't be the one pushing the initiative. And the Keith's like, I have a lot of time to work with. I'll get a KO eventually. Downlight into recovery does close it out. And now we are down to a last stock game 5, the closest I feel like any set has gone here. Okay, sidelight into recovery, reading the no dodge, no nair to follow up though.
Okay, let's see. Keith
Recovery.
Trying to hover here. He's taking too much damage. Hasn't touched
Another recovery.
Spinx yet on the stock.
Oh, nice movement from Sphinx, avoiding that nair, avoiding that side air. Waits for the dodge that time, but didn't find the spacing for it. Another nair to try to anti-air Keith, who's jumping a lot towards the soft platform. Sphinx realizing that, throwing out these side airs in a spot where Keith, if Keith avoids the side air by jumping to the soft platform, he can't punish it. So it's like a classic like spacing trap where you don't really get punished for going for your biggest open up here on Gauntlets. No side light there, going for the end light instead. A lot safer of an option. Gets the weight, gets the recovery. That disarms Keith. Finally a big open up, finally an opportunity for Sphinx now, who gets a side light there, just kind of waits out Keith, going back to the soft platform, another side light. One more conversion can close out this game, but Keith picking up the sword now. Scary spot for Sphinx to be in.
And one thing I will say is that, like, Spinx has the advantage here. Like, technically he doesn't have to approach, and he hasn't had to approach for this past minute or so, but keeps pushing on. Doesn't want to change the way that he's playing. One recovery away. Knowing that you're so close can be the thing that gets you sometimes. He goes for the side stick. It's not going to connect. He's getting desperate to find this knockout, and Keith can smell that. He's going to try to use that to convert into his own victory, perhaps, but will it be enough? N-light now has the potential to KO in the corner as well.
You just need the one hit. You just need the one thing to close out and put an exclamation point on this crazy run. Can you find it here? Keith fighting back, down air into the end. Sig, it gets punished by recovery, and Sphinx denies the reverse 3-0, takes it in a very close game 5 with that recovery. The thing we've been talking about, him struggling to find the connection into. That time, all you need is a whiffed and Sig to close out that set.
Yeah, right. I mean, you could tell Keith, I think, could smell